Hi, I'm Deemy Stevens, and welcome to our live video training today in Microsoft Word. If this is not a product that you own already, you can go on your internet browser to officeonline.com, and that'll bring you here to this screen, and you can open Word Online or any of the other Microsoft Office products that you'd like to use that way. All right, now, just because I'm a Microsoft certified instructor in Office and all of the Word products and Excel and PowerPoint, I'm not going to try and teach you anything convoluted or complicated in our series, but I am going to show you the most effective and efficient ways to get things done as of my understanding today. We're always open to learning new things, but I want to help you be able to complete your project in the fastest and easiest way. This series is geared for beginners, but realize that if you're a savvy Microsoft Word user, you may pick up a tip or two or even three in this series today that can save you lots of time later on. Okay, so we're going to dive in and open up Microsoft Word. The first time you open it, it may bring you to this area where you're looking for templates. You're going to choose a new blank document to start with. And my best advice is let's go ahead and save this somewhere that you can find it later by going to the File menu and choosing Save or Save As. The first time out, it does not matter which one that you choose. You'll be offered an option to save it in the cloud. The Microsoft Cloud is called OneDrive, or if you're a Mac user, you can save it to the iCloud. You may have heard of Google Drive, that's Google's cloud, or Dropbox. Those are all possibilities for you. I'm going to create a new folder on my computer, though, and I'm going to browse. You know what? I have some folders of my own created already, but I'm going to suggest for you today, you can use the new folder feature and create a brand new place to store your book. It pops in some placeholder data there, new folder, and you type to give it the name that you want. Oops, I've already created one, so I'm just going to replace that. Okay, here we go in the My Book folder, and I'm going to open that up and save the first copy of my book today. You can give it version names if you want to update it over time and make sure that you keep the integrity of all your versions of your files, or you could name it with today's date. So as I'm typing today, it's the cold 15th of February, 20th of February 2015. You realize I can't talk and type at the same time. So give your file a name and click Save. And we're back to that blank document. Now, I want to show you 3 quick steps today that I call Step 0 that are going to get you off to a great start. In a download section of our video area in this lesson, I'm going to put a template up there. So if you're completely confused by the description, you can go open up that template and then just replace the placeholder text with yours. But hopefully this will be something you can grab onto easy. It's not a lot of fancy stuff here, but it will save you hours of formatting time later. When you first start working on your book, I want you to be on that Home tab of your screen. And if you look up at the top here and you don't have tools underneath your toolbar, you can pop them open by double-clicking. There we go, Demi. Any of the words across the top of your screen there. That'll open up your toolbar. Okay, so on that Home tab, to type your first chapter number, I want you to browse over here to the Styles area and click Heading 1. And you can call your chapter whatever you want. I usually write the word chapter. And if I know a number, I plug it in. But even if I don't know a number, I'll just write the word chapter and leave it for that for now. As soon as you put in your heading 1, I want you to press the Enter key and go down to a new line. Notice that it took us from being in the heading 1 setting, like we were up here on chapter 1, it automatically put us into the normal text setting on this next new line. That is exactly what you want to happen. So here is where I would type beginning of my saga. Dum, 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 da, 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 dum. All right, so if you're typing nonfiction titles, chances are good that at some point in your book, you're going to have some subheader text that you need, something that helps organize your book into levels. And at that point, I'm going to encourage you to use a heading 2. Here's where you'd place those subheads. Notice how it's a little bit smaller on the screen than that chapter heading was. I want you to pay absolutely no attention to the fonts and the sizes and the styles. They're going to be super simple to change at a later point when it's meaningful for you. But right now it really doesn't matter, does it? And I want to encourage you, don't try and change them here. There's a super simple way that you can change them uniformly throughout your several hundred-page document at the end, or if you're dying to learn it sooner, shoot me an email and I'll fill you in on the details there. But for now, I want you to know about heading 1 for your chapter headers, normal text for the main text of your document, and heading 2 and so forth for these subheads. So as soon as you use a heading 2, type in your subhead and press the Enter key. Notice how it put me back into normal. And here is where I'll type the text of this subhead section. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so notice as soon as I added a heading 2, it gave me the next possibility of a heading 3. So maybe at some point I'll have a subheader that I might need. And this is exactly what you're going to do as you go down through your document. Now, why am I teaching you this now? It's all so that when you're ready to build your table of contents at the end of your book project, you're going to be amazed that you can do it in just 2 clicks and no typing at all, but only if you've used this one simple technique of using styles to build your project as you go. You'll even be able to update the page numbers with a single click as long as you've used this. It's truly a game changer, especially if you're working with nonfiction titles. Now, when you get to the end of typing each of your chapters areas, I want to teach you next how to use a section page break. This is not just a regular garden variety page break, but this is a section page break. So when your cursor is at the end of that chapter, after the very last word, I want you to go to the Page Layout tab on your toolbar, and I want you to come to Breaks, click that, and scroll down to Section Break. This is under that area here, Section Breaks, Next Page Break. Notice how, if I scroll back up, we still have page 1 up at the top there, but now it's moved me down to the beginning of page 2 automatically. Again, we went to Page Layout, chose Breaks, and the Section Break Next Page. I'm not dissing the garden variety page breaks, so if you know how to do that already, that's fine, but now I want you to use section break page breaks, unless you're only planning to publish for ebook. In that case, you can use either kind. But if you want to put your work into print, these section page breaks are the way to go, because eventually you'll have so much more control over the placement of page numbers on those pesky little blank pages that sometimes happen between chapters, and the shifting of the placement of your page numbers on the first page of a new chapter. But don't worry about any of that now. It's not even remotely important to you at this moment in time. It's just a 30-second tip that can save you loads of time later when I teach you why. Now, next thing you need to know is that your word processor does not function like a typewriter in many ways. If you're like me and you grew up with that typewriter, you remember your teacher redlining your term paper, handing it back to you, and you had to retype the whole thing because in my case there were a lot of sins whiteout could not fix. I've even seen, though, some young aspiring writers hand in their monolithic word process first drafts with some of the same things built in, like you'd think they were trained back in 1950 on the Smith Corona. So I want to make sure you know just these 3 things that's going to save you double-digit numbers of hours when you're formatting later on. The first is word wrap. Let me pull open a little file here to demonstrate things for you. Okay, this is the beginning of my book, Caligari. It's a romance novel here. On the old typewriter, when we got to the end of a line of type, we had to reach up and manually move that carriage return back to the beginning of the next line. Even when the electronic typewriter came along in the mid to late 80s, we still had to press the Enter key or the Return key to move down to a new line of type, so that we didn't actually wind up typing right off the edge of the paper. Believe it or not, there's still lots of people who type this way, even on word processors. Every time they see the words getting out to the edge of the line, they preempt it by pressing enter. I need you to resist the urge. This is one habit you have to break because it's going to cost you a lot of sanity and a bazillion hours of work later to take them out, because you absolutely will have to take them out. Watch what happens when I get to the end of my writing project here and I realize that I need to change the font to something bigger for my print book. 12 points fine. Actually, let me make it a little bit larger to emphasize a point here. Oh gosh, now that the ends of my lines don't fall in the same place, look how terrible this is on the screen. I am going to have to come back. I'm going to need to pour a really tall glass of wine and take out every single extra line break, painfully, one at a time, all the way through my document. You feeling the pain yet? And I'm even pretty quick at this, but yeah, there's a lot of pain here, and I don't want you to have to feel that. So break the urge. Do it now. It is in your best interest. Okay, second big not typewriter tip is first line indents. Hang on a second while I set that up on our screen for us. Okie dokie, here we go. In this example, I have used the old-fashioned tab key to indent my lines. On the old typewriter, we used to automatically set up little tabs to move us over every half an inch. So here at the beginning of the line, I actually pressed the tab key. And for those of you who are really Microsoft Word savvy, I had to go way out of my way to make this happen. But I know many people have their word processor set up so that they can tab. I want to teach you today how to get around that, because it will save you lots of time. Every paragraph, you don't have to press tab anymore. If I turn on my show settings feature here, you'll notice at the beginning of each of these paragraphs, there's a little arrow. That's showing me that I've used the tab key. Now, on my 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, a half-inch tab, which is what this is, if you look on the ruler here, it lines up half an inch tab, looks pretty good. But at some point, I am going to need to change the size of my book to something that looks more like a traditional trade paperback. Something, let's say, that's about 6 by 9 could be one example. Now, on a 6 by 9 page, that half-inch first line indent, that half-inch tab, looks huge. And there is not going to be an easy, simple way to fix that. There are a couple of ways that aren't incredibly painful, but if you're writing for ebooks, even if you use the simple way, you're still going to have to go back and remove every single tab that's there and use a different function. So if you've used tab, I'll teach you in class, or I'll email with you to show you how to remove those quickly and easily. But for now, I want to show you an easier way. So let me see if I can remove those for you real super quick. I'm going to find all of the tabs in my document and replace them with nothing. All right, it's a short little document, so that didn't take too long. Now, we're going to select all of the document's text by using Control-A or Command-A. You're going to find that Control or Command key on your keyboard. Press and hold it down while you type an A, and that selects all of the text of your entire document. And what I want you to do is, well, there's a couple ways to do this, but I'm going to teach you the paragraph settings way. So on your home ribbon toolbar, in the lower right-hand corner of the paragraph area, we're going to click on that arrow. And in the indentation section, I want you to choose a special first line indent. And here is one of the ways where you can change that hanging indent by how big it is, so that on my 6 by 9 page, 3/10 of an inch is really plenty of indent. and it will help fit more words in fewer pages, which will eventually reduce the cost of printing my book, which is almost always a good thing for me as a businesswoman. Okay, now, if you are writing fiction, using that first line indent is probably something you want to do. You want to have a hanging indent there. If you are writing memoir, that is also a genre that uses these first line indents. However, the vast majority of nonfiction titles don't. So if you're writing nonfiction, you can select all, that was Control A, and then on the paragraph tab, in the indentation area, you can choose no indent. Make sense? But in nonfiction, they often add a little extra space between each paragraph. Since there's no indent at the beginning of the paragraph, this little extra space helps a reader's eyes to anchor on the page and know where the new paragraph begins. All right, that's the quick and dirty for now. We'll get much deeper into this later on when we're formatting your ebook to get it ready for sale. All right, finally today, I want to talk a little bit about line spacing. You'll notice on my screen right now I have things kind of double spaced because I participate in a writer's group, and they like to have plenty of room to add their comments. Very exciting, right? Okay, if the text of your book, if you've typed already, you have something in there, it probably looks more like this. I'm going to put my page back here on traditional 8.5 by 11, excuse me. There we go. Yours probably looks something more like this if you've just typed it in. Now, instead of manually going to the end of each line and putting in a double space like this, oops, sorry. I knew I was going to screw that up if I talked and typed at the same time. This is going to make your life crazy because remember I said we'd have to take out all of those extra returns at the ends of every line? What I want you to do instead is employ that select all that we did before. Remember Control A or Command A? And here's the easy way. In the paragraph area of the Home ribbon toolbar, you're going to click the line and paragraph spacing and simply come down and choose the double spacing or even triple spacing option that you want. Make sense? So here in one single little click, you've added double spacing to your document. Awesome, right? If you can master the 5 easy steps I just outlined here in this video, you'll save yourself somewhere between 10 and 30 hours of formatting headaches later. I am so psyched for you to know this up front. It's using first the styles, heading 1, heading 2, etc., for your chapter headings and subheadings. It's remembering to use those section break, page breaks between chapters. Then it's using word wrap rather than manually pressing enter at the end of every line. And it's using the normal style for all your font here at the beginning, remembering not to use tab for indents. And using the line and paragraph spacing tools if you need to double space or triple space or change the spacing in your document. Now, for those of you who are dying not to have the fonts on your screen look the way they do when they start, I'll show you really quick, but not if you're a beginner, just keep typing. Select all your text, and you can change the way your heading or your normal fonts appear by right-clicking on that style setting and choosing Modify. This is where you can come and in one fell swoop, if you love having, let's see, I have someone who's a big fan of, what is her favorite font? It's in here in the C's. She loves Candara. All right, if you love the Candara font, you can choose it here. One click, you don't have to go throughout your entire document and find the new spots. And it will change. You don't have to highlight or click and drag anything. I had you Control A. You don't need to do that. Just come to normal, right-click, choose Modify, and anywhere in your document that has that normal setting. I'm so sorry if I'm confusing you there. That normal setting, all those places are going to update. However, if we had a heading 1 area here, let me type that in real quick, and then we went and changed normal. I went and changed normal back to Times New Roman. Notice how it doesn't affect the heading 1 areas. If you're a sort of normal average user, you would probably have gone through your entire document, one chapter at a time, click and drag, change your font, go down to the new chapter so that you didn't mess up your chapter headings, and then click and drag and change your font. This is a far easier way, especially when you're dealing with several hundreds of pages in your document, to right-click on that style setting and choose Modify and make all the changes. We'll learn some more in a future video, but for today I hope that's it. So after implementing any of these 5 steps, you know what? If it gets in your way of writing, just say screw this. Have the inner strength in yourself and just write. Know that I'll still love you, and I'll teach you how to undo any madness or chaos later on. It's far more important for you to start and finish your writing of the entire first draft than it is to have a flawlessly formatted document that's only 2 or 3 pages long because you got too confused. So I'll see you soon in our next video, and keep writing. Take care.